Should I go to a real background?
Everyone can hear you, Barbara, so because you're yeah, mute yourself. That's great.
All right, it's just activating right now. All right, excellent. I think we are live. And let me just get a confirmation of that. Okay, we're live. Let's we may begin the meeting.
Good morning. Well, this is exciting. First time that we're doing something of this magnitude, but looks like we all did it and we're all here. Welcome everyone to the June meeting of the Maryland Democratic State Central Committee meeting. Thank you all for joining us today. We have a very full agenda, so we're going to jump right into it. At this time, it has been determined that we have a quorum. Looking at my screen, it looks like we have 282 participants. Thank you all very much. So let's begin the meeting. We'll start with the approval of the minutes. If everyone has had a chance to review the minutes, I'd like to call on Judy Carbone to approve, disapprove the minutes. So Judy, we're going to move you over to panelists so that you can speak.
Hello.
We got you.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I move to approve the minutes of October 29th, 2019.
Thank you, Judy. Is there a second? Please raise your hand to second the motion. Do we have a hand raised?
I see Jeff Long.
Okay, very good. It has been, Jeff Long from Calvert County has seconded. So the motion has been properly moved and seconded. A poll will now appear on your screen. Please take a moment to complete the poll.
It'd be good if I unmute myself. Aaron Kaufman, if you don't hear us now, we are speaking now, and then I will launch the poll to.
It's coming, Linda.
Yep. And this is for our minutes. Okay. All right, so you all should see the poll now on your screen. Just answer. All right. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and right now. Excellent. All right. I'm going to share the results. There we go.
Thank you. According to the poll, the motion carries. Thank you all very much. We will now move to the treasurer's report. Now, I just got a message from Bob Crestline that his Zoom crashed and he has to log back in. I don't see him on screen. So if everyone will allow me to go out of order just a little bit or delay a bit to see if Bob has either called back in or is back on screen, because I do really want to do the treasurer's report. So can we?
Yeah, I don't see.
I don't see him. He sent me a text message and he said something just happened to my Zoom crash. I have to reboot, so I'll be back in a minute. So. All
right.
There he is. He's back. I just saw him. There he is. So now we can move Judy back over to attendee.
Yep.
I'm back.
All right, so Bob, we're at your point, at the point where we're going to do the treasurer's report, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Is Eva or somebody going to post it up?
I can.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it. I want you to share that on your screen. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, everybody. Ain't technology wonderful when it works? Okay. So while that's loading, I just want to talk about sort of what things have transpired over the past 6 or 7 months with respect to our accounting systems, our budgeting and finance. Shortly after Yvette took the chair in December, we prepared a memorandum to her making certain suggestions on accounting, finance, and budget and accountability. The highlights of that program have been enacted largely. We have adopted some new accounting procedures with respect to how and when we pay our bills and report, how and when accounts payable are approved, and how and when we create our financial reports. Would like to thank Morgan Murphy for her assistance in that regard, as well as Meredith Bowman. So thank you to them. Secondarily, we recommended that a finance committee be created. I'm sure Yvette will go into that more in her chair's report. But a committee and a council were formed in order to assist the chair in fundraising efforts, as well as assist Jamie Conway with his work. That has become extremely important since the COVID situation has arisen due to changes in our ability to raise money. Next, we established a budget committee, and we were in the process of adopting the 2020 budget again when COVID hit. So that sort of threw us for a loop. We were sort of budgeting day to day at that point, and we have finally gotten to some degree of stability. So we have a working budget that we're going to present to the executive committee for the balance of this year. Finally, the financial reporting, we hope that what we're showing you in terms of our budget will be a lot more descriptive of where we are and why we are. And you'll see that as of June 20th, 2020, we have raised $671,000 in income. Previously, we just listed that in the treasurer's report as income. We suggested that we break that down so that you can see where the sources of income are. You can see that SAC is a Senior Advisory Council, which are elected officials and their contributions to the party. The Trustee Council are those folks who make a significant contribution to the party on an annual basis and are considered trustees. There is a committee of trustees, and Terry Learman, who is the chair of the Finance Committee, and Van Shaw, who is a co-chair, have worked their tails off to bring in money for the party in that regard. The expense item, we've now broken down into showing you what our personnel overhead costs are, our political activities, fundraising expenses, and consulting charges. You can see when we take our income versus our expense, we have a net profit over the 5-month period of $116,000. And presently, Eva, can you scroll that down there a little bit? Thank you. We have $756.55 in the bank. So just for some, I guess, perspective, at the beginning of January 9th, 2019, we had $682,000 in the bank. By the end of 2019, we had $286,000 in the bank. So you can see that's about a $400,000 eating into our nest egg. Since January of 2020. We have built that number back up to $455,000. Quite an accomplishment given the limitations that we have in our ability to have in-person type of fundraising. So I think kudos go to Yvette, Jamie, the Finance Council, and the staff, also controlling costs. And so I think the party is in excellent shape, given where we are and the plans for the future. So I submit that report for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. And I have to give kudos to Bob Crestline, to Barbara Goldberg-Goldman, both our treasurer and our deputy treasurer. I'll say more about Barbara a little later, for their diligence and their steadfastness in working to turn things around here at the party. And I'm so grateful to both of them for their hard work. So
I forgot to mention Eva. I'm sorry. Thank you, Eva, for all your hard work.
I was going to get to Eva too. We will now move to approve the treasurer's report. I'd like to call on Russell Yates to approve or disapprove the treasurer's report. Russell, you will now be able to be moved over.
I'm having a bit of trouble with my Zoom here. Let's see, Michael, can you reclaim host?
I'm using my iPad,
Oh,
unfortunately. Quick question in the chat box from.
Yeah, I see that from Linda Dorsey Walker. We're going to have discussion and take questions after, before we vote.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm having issues. If Russell, if you can type it in the Q&A chat box, the motion, and then we'll do it that way. I'm having issues with it. Michael, if you can sign on to where you can be a host as well, please do that. Oh, maybe. All right, never mind, I got it working. All right, Russell, you're unmuted.
Good morning. Russell Yates, Charles County. I move we accept the treasurer's report subject to audit.
And raise your hand if there is a second.
See Beth Swope.
Yep. And let me just unmute Beth so she can say it verbally. Beth, you're unmuted.
She's muted again, I see.
Mute now. I'd like to second the motion.
Thank you, Beth. Is there any discussion? So I see that there are questions. I think it's in the chat. Hold on a second. Let's see, Linda Dorsey Walker, Bob, you might want to unmute. I have a question about the reconciliation process. Linda, can you write your question in the chat box and let us know what it is? And we'll give that a second. One of the questions is, what are the sources, Bob, of the money which was raised?
Okay. So let me grab my budget here. Okay, so on the treasurer's report, we've broken it down into events, DNC, Senior Advisory Council, Trustee Council services, miscellaneous. I mean, I don't know that I can break down every source of income, but generally the events, we had our legislative breakfast. So we raised money with respect to that. We had the
We did Dims a Distance,
Adam
which I'll
Schiff
talk about.
fundraiser, fundraiser with Adam Schiff. We've had some donations that came in with respect to the rally we had. There was a tag at the bottom of the screen. We raised a few $1,000s that way. The Democratic National Committee has a program that was started way back in the Howard Dean time, where we share money, get some money from the DNC. That averages about $10,000 a month. It's kicked up some in the past couple of months. The Senior Advisory Council, or our senators, Congress people, leaders of the General Assembly, our county executives, each of them voluntarily, they've created sort of a tithing, if you will, amongst them, and set goals for each of them. And they've honored their commitments to the party. And we have hopefully a bunch more to get before the end. It's a 2-year cycle. The trustees give $10,000 a year to the party. And you can see that we've raised $183,000 from trustees. We are recruiting people for that program every day. Services, we provide certain services, primarily the VAN program, which we license to candidates. They pay a fee in order to have access to the Voter Action Network. And we also have web giving, people who make small contributions and small dollar contributions. And we have the Maryland Dem store where we sell chum. So those are our sources of income.
Thank you, Bob. There is a question here, Greg, that we may need your help on. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let you take it. So if the motion is to approve subject to audit, would an auditor's finding void our vote?
No, it wouldn't. Technically, we don't really need to accept the treasurer's report at every meeting. It's a formality that the committee has fallen into over many, many years. And so we just do that. But in reality, a real treasurer's report is prepared annually and submitted for a real audit. And that's when that takes place. All this does is merely kind of, continue to pile up all these reports so until the full report can be completed and presented to an auditor's committee. All we're really doing by making this motion and voting on it is acknowledging that the treasurer has reported on the state of the party's finances.
Thank you, Greg. And let me just address the audit, because I know we talked about that when I was sworn in December. We had an audit scheduled. The auditor that we worked with in the past asked us to wait until after tax season, but COVID interrupted us. And now they are in tax season yet again, because the tax date has been moved. But we are in the queue with them, and the audit will proceed once they are able to do this for us. We have decided to stay with the same auditor that we used in the past, because we found that when they came on board, they had a learning curve. Well, they won't have the learning curve this time, which will save us money, because it won't require as much from them, because they know how a state party works, and it won't require as much for them to do at this time. So we are in the queue to have the audit done. It's not something that we dropped the ball on. It was something that we had planned to do after tax season in April, but COVID interrupted that. Okay.
So
Bob?
Yvette, Linda Dorsey Walker asked a question about reconciliation.
Oh, okay. You want to take that?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of reconciliation, actually the bank account reconciliation process, I don't think that has changed, because we have our accountant go over our statements every month and assist us in reconciling the bank accounts. I think the gist of the question really is controls over spending and who is watching the accounts as the money is coming in and going out. So what we have done is we pay bills twice a month. Previously, bills were paid sort of as they came in, and only the state account required the treasurer's signature. So other accounts could be paid out, federal accounts specifically, could be paid out with the executive director's signature. So what we've done is we've created an approval process where all expenditures are submitted for approval and review by both the executive director and the treasurer, and extraordinary expenditures, those over a certain amount, and I think it's probably $10,000. Anything and any expenditure, whether it's budgeted or not, requires the chair's approval as well as the view of the treasurer. So we have put those controls in place, and we're able to, and Morgan has done an excellent job of being able to submit those to Eva and I electronically, so we can actually view and approve the expenditure, have a record of what has been submitted. I guess the biggest issue is we've put a cap on any non-budget expense over a certain dollar amount.
Thanks, Bob. Are there any other questions? Do I see any more questions? Looks like that's it.
I'm not sure what the name of, Aaron, I'm not sure what the name of the audit firm is. I can't remember off the top of my head.
We can get it for you, though. We can make sure that we send that out.
And I would just say, if anyone has any questions, please put it into the chat or the Q&A box.
Let me know if I'm missing anything. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, that's it. So
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much, Bob, for an outstanding job. I could not ask for a better partner, seriously. I really appreciate you. And Barbara, you both are just amazing. So we are righting this ship, and I am so grateful to both of you for all of your help with that. So now the motion has been properly moved and seconded. A poll will appear on your screen. Please take a minute to complete the poll to approve the treasurer's report. Eva, you're muted.
I will give it 5 more seconds, and then I will end the poll. All right.
Very good. According to the poll, the motion carries. Thank you all very much. And for those of you that, if you check the chat box, Morgan did put the name of the accounting firm in the chat box. Those of you that had questions about that, so you can check the chat box to see that. Moving on, we will now move to the election and swearing in of our gender balanced members to the State Central Committee. Under our rules, each Central Committee must be gender balanced at the time of this meeting. In your packets, you have been provided a slate of our new gender balanced members. At this time, I'd like to call on Tara Ebersol to make a motion to approve or disapprove the slate. Tara, you will be moved over to participant.
Okay, let me do that now. I don't see Tara on. Tara, if you're on, can you put something in the chat? Maybe you're underneath a different name.
If not,
Yeah, I don't even see. Oh,
So-
here we go. Aaron.
Aaron has
Aaron-
moved. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah,
I
let me,
appreciate it.
Yvette, let me just unmute Aaron
Okay,
so he
Aaron,
can say it out
so that
loud.
you can say it.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Aaron. I'm gonna allow you to talk now. Okay, go ahead and unmute yourself, Aaron. Yep.
Madam Chair, I move the slate of gender balanced members as indicated in the packet.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Lake County-
And is there a second?
Right.
So Tara says she should do this by chat. Tara,
Oh.
Tara can,
Oh.
so Tara, do you want to second? Well,
Okay.
Matthew Lee, we have Matthew Lee.
No, I can do Tara for a second.
Okay. Because I see Joseph did it and Matthew did it. Okay, there you are. Tara,
Oh,
hi.
there. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Tara. Tara, Tara, can you can unmute yourself? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to second the motion.
Thank you, Tara. Appreciate it. So the motion has been properly moved and seconded. A poll will appear on your screen. Please take a minute to complete the poll.
All right, I'll give it 5 more seconds. Okay.
According to the poll, the motion carries. So now, this is what we will do. We are going to move all newly elected gender balanced members to panelists to be sworn in and recognize any newly appointed members that would like to be sworn in as well. Once you have been moved to panelist, you will be unmuted. So we'll take a minute to do that.
All right. Michael, can you just call out, can you unmute yourself and call out their names and let me look for them?
Yes. 1 second. Cheryl Goodlib. 1 second. I'm sorry.
All right. Cheryl, you have been moved over.
And of course, my Gmail locked me out now. Troy Selby, if he's on.
Troy, is it Troy?
Troy, yeah,
Yeah, I don't see him on.
got it. Danita Tolson,
How do you spell her name?
Tolson, last name, Danita.
Uh-huh. All right, Danita, you've been moved over and you're allowed to speak. Who's the next person?
And then we also have Rodka Gray, Rodcita.
What's her first name?
Rodcita.
Gotcha. All right.
And we'll also be moving, I think Cheryl requested Denise Mitchell as a non-gender balanced member that wants to be sworn in as well.
Gotcha. All right, Denise, you've been moved over. So all the folks who are on, the only one who I don't believe is on is Troy. I don't see him there. Okay.
I think check the chat to see if there were 2 names added in the chat. Something just flashed up on my screen. Is that accurate?
Michael Mahar and Torrin Chambers should be on the gender balance list. That's
Is that correct?
if they're in, I'll readjust the list.
No, Calvert, is this coming from Calvert?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think only the members on our list are the ones that we need to do.
it's
Right.
fine.
So these are the ones that have not been sworn in, not all gender balance members,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. We're just going to do the ones that are on the list.
Okay.
If there are questions afterwards, just come to us. But the ones on the list are the ones that get us the gender balance across the 24 jurisdictions.
So are we ready? All righty. This is what we are going to do. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. You will be unmuted and I'm going to give you a chance to say your names. I, and state your name.
I,
Cheryl.
I, Dr. Danita Tolson,
Do swear or affirm
do swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and knowledge,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality and judgment,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality and prejudice,
execute the office of member
of
the Democratic State Central Committee of Maryland,
of the Democratic Central Committee of Maryland,
of the Democratic State Central Committee of Maryland,
of the Democratic State Central Committee of Maryland,
that's it, according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
and bylaws of this state.
and bylaws of the state.
Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to move you all back over to attendees now.
And then Yvette, if you can just or Michael, can you just repeat those 4 names so everyone knows?
Cheryl Gottlieb, Monica Gray, Danita Tolson, and Troy Selby.
And then Denise Mitchell.
And Denise Mitchell.
Thank you all so much and welcome. We will now move to the confirmation of Barbara Goldberg Goldman as Deputy Treasurer. After the resignation of Jeffrey Slavin as Deputy Treasurer, Barbara Goldberg Goldman was appointed in March by the Executive Committee as a temporary Deputy Treasurer pending her confirmation by the DSCC. Before I call on Linda Foley to formally nominate Barbara to complete the term, I need to take a point of personal privilege. Barbara didn't just come on as Deputy Treasurer. Barbara came on as Deputy Treasurer on steroids. She has worked so hard for this party. She's brought in trustees, she's brought in money, she's brought in ideas, she's brought in energy. And we are so fortunate that she's agreed to do this. I hope you all are just really, really grateful for the work that she's done. And when I say she's brought in trustees, she's brought in big dollar trustees and been really, really instrumental with her knowledge in helping us right this ship. So I am so grateful to have her as a partner. And so I'd like to call on at this time, Linda Foley to make a motion to approve, disapprove, I doubt it, Barbara Goldman as the Deputy Treasurer for completing the current term ending fall of 2022 for Deputy Treasurer. Linda?
Yeah, hi, this is Linda Foley from Montgomery County. I move to approve the Executive Committee's recommendation of Barbara Goldberg Goldman as Deputy Treasurer to serve the remainder of the term ending in the fall of 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Is there a second? Please raise your hand to be recognized. And it looks like we have a second from Joseph Brecker. So thank you very much. The motion has been properly moved.
Yvette, just let me unmute him so we can hear it verbally too.
Joseph.
Joseph Brecker, okay. Go ahead. You can unmute, there you go.
The nomination of my good friend Barbara.
Thank you. So the motion has been properly moved and seconded. A poll will appear on your screen. Please take a minute to complete the poll.
All right, I'll give it 5 more seconds. Yvette, you're muted.
According to the poll, the motion carries. Congratulations, Barbara, on your confirmation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy to have you. So now we will move to the confirmation of Cheryl Landis as the DNC member. Upon my election as chair in December 2019, my position at the DNC National Committee, as your committee woman, became vacant. At our January Executive Committee meeting, Cheryl Landis was appointed as interim DNC National Committee woman, pending her confirmation by the DSCC. This is another one, jumped right in and didn't miss a beat and has done an outstanding job. So at this time, I'd like to call on Peter Perini to make a motion to approve, disapprove Cheryl's confirmation as DNC National Committee woman, completing the current term, ending at the conclusion of the 2020 DNC convention. So if we can move Peter over. There he is. Peter, can you unmute?
Okay, can you hear me, Yvette?
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Peter Perini. I am on the Washington County Democratic Central Committee in beautiful Western Maryland. And as a demonstration of Cheryl's statewide support, I am honored to move to approve the Executive Committee's recommendation of Cheryl Landis to fulfill the remainder of Yvette Lewis's term as DNC member.
Thank you so much. And at this time, I'd like to call on, is it Haki Ami to second? And Haki, can you unmute?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
All right, yes, it's beautiful, and thank you all today for this opportunity to second the nomination of Cheryl Landis to continue to serve the great state of Maryland for the remainder of the term. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It has been properly moved and seconded. A poll will now appear on your screen. Please take a moment to complete the poll.
All right, I'll let the poll be open for 5 more seconds.
Excellent. According to the poll, the motion carries. Congratulations, Cheryl, on your confirmation. And you'll hear from Cheryl a little later. At this time, we're moving to the next phase. So we'll be moving to approve the remaining Biden female delegate from Congressional District 2. The Biden campaign was short, 1 female delegate in CD2 on the ballot. As a result, Deja Williams was chosen by the Biden campaign to fill the remaining slot. At this time, I'd like to call on Thea Boykins to make a motion to elect Deja Williams to fill the remaining female district delegate slots in CD2.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
I move to affirm Deja Williams to fill the Biden presidential preference vacancy for CD2.
Thank you so much. And is there a second? Please raise your hand to be recognized.
I see Chuck Cook. Chuck Cook.
Okay, very good. Chuck, let's hear your voice.
I would like to enthusiastically second.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So now we will now vote to elect Deja Williams as female Congressional District 2 delegate. A poll will appear on your screen. Please take a minute to complete the poll.
All right, I'll give it 5 more seconds.
Excellent. According to the poll, the motion carries. Congratulations, Deja. Next, we'll move now to the election of at-large, alternates, and Pleo delegate slates. You have been provided with the slate of delegates approved by the Biden campaign at the conclusion of the application period, which ended June 16th. I'd like to call on Seth Myers to make a motion to elect the slate approved by the Biden campaign. Sarah?
Go ahead, Sarah, if you could just unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Sarah Myers from Wycomico County. I move to approve the presidential candidate slate for Pleos, at-large, and alternate delegates.
Thank you. Please raise your hand if there is a second.
Pick Scott Kane. Oh, sorry.
I'd like to second the nomination.
Thank you so much. It has been properly moved and seconded to elect the slate of approved at-large, alternates, and Pleo delegates by the Biden campaign. A poll will now appear on your screen. Please take a minute to complete the poll.
I give it 5 more seconds.
Thank you. According to the poll, the motion carries. However, I do see that there was some discussion, there were some questions about the slate. We are perfectly happy to answer questions. So if you want to put them in the chat, we can respond. We'll give it a minute. Yes, the slate does meet the required diversity. What this slate was based on, the way this slate was put together, and Greg, you might want to unmute with this as well. The numbers that the Biden campaign, the names that the Biden campaign sent to us were sent to us after the district delegates were reviewed. The district level delegates were reviewed, and then they saw where we needed to fill in the gaps to meet our diversity requirements according to our delegate selection plan. So they had our delegate selection plan. They looked at our district level delegates, the people that were actually elected at the ballot. And then they determined, based on the people that applied through June 16th, based on the people that applied, they determined where we needed to fill in the gaps so that our delegation would reflect what our delegate selection plan. Now, Greg Pecoraro went over the delegate selection plan at several meetings last year to tell you about the numbers and where we were and what we needed in the different categories. And after that election on June 2nd, we had some places to fill in, and that's the way it went. So Greg, do you want to chime in on that? They want to know, could you list the names for the record? Which names specifically are you referring to? And why so many electeds in the at-large? And can you provide statistics on diversity? Michael, if you can pull up that, that sheet and type that in the chat so that everybody knows what the statistics were. But understand, and we have, yes, we are definitely in the under 35 category. I think we were required to have 32 youth. Is that right, Eva? And we did hit that number. We definitely hit the under 35. We hit that number.
Yeah, or 36 and younger, yes.
36 and younger. So we definitely met that threshold. And why is there only one Black male out of 29? Because we hit the threshold in the district level delegates, those people that were elected. Am I saying that correct, Greg? We hit those numbers in the district level election. So we filled in based on what the district level election did not take care of. So Greg, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I would just say that you have to look at the delegation, as you pointed out, look at the delegation as a whole. So we did elect a number of people at the district level. We also had some automatic delegates. And then, looking at what those numbers look like as they fit into the demographic targets we had for the delegation. Because the Biden campaign was entitled to 100% of Maryland's delegates because of the results of the June 2nd primary. This was a sort of a much easier process than it has been in the past, where we didn't have to negotiate between campaigns about how we got people to trade off to fill different things. We were just able to tell the Biden campaign, here's what you need to come up with for your Clio at-large and alternate delegates in order to get Maryland to meet its numbers. And so we were able to give them those targets, and they were able to come back with a list of people that did meet with, when we looked at Maryland's total delegation, that did meet those targets.
So Greg, you do have, okay, we got the numbers up here. We got the list up here. The other thing that we need, I think there's questions about the diversity breakdown. I think Greg answered that question because we looked at the delegation as a whole. And that's how we came up with the numbers that we did, or they did, because all we did, basically, we were an intake center. We, you guys, people applied. We turned the names over to the Biden campaign. The Biden campaign made their decision. This is what they sent back to us. So if people did not apply, we could not put people in, right, during that process. So the application process was open for over a week, I think it was, right, Eva? The application process was open for a week. It was advertised, and Lord knows people knew about it because we had a lot of people to apply. And the Biden campaign had access to the document throughout the application process. So it wasn't like they got, just a dump at the end of the week. They could see the names that were coming in regularly. So they sent this back to us. It was well over 100. How many people? About 160, 100?
Yeah, even more. Yep.
Yes, well over 160 people that applied. So that's how they came up with this number. Concerns about the representation of Black men on the slate. How many, Eva? It's balanced, but
yes.
Go ahead.
So the one thing people need to understand is that this is only the at-large, the alternates and the Plios. There's also 65 individuals who are elected at the ballot district-wise. And so in terms of like, and I know we met, our goal for African Americans was 43 members, and I believe we're at 44 or 45. So we've met that goal. And so one thing is to take in mind is that you're not seeing the names for the 65 individuals who are elected at the ballot.
And they want to know how many are men. It's balanced.
It's balanced, yeah. So it's 60 and 60.
And we had our AAPI count was based on our delegate selection plan. We had 6.
Yeah, it was 43 African American, Hispanic was 6, Native American 1, Asian American, API 6, LGBTQ 5, disabilities 13, and youth 32.
And we met the goals of all. Any other questions? So that's how it was broken down. So we submitted based on people that applied. We didn't create the list. Yes, we did meet our goals. We did meet our goals, Josh. We met our goals. There were, and we were able to. I was especially pleased with the number of young people that will be part of our delegation, because this, I want our party to always be about looking towards the future. And I think that that we have achieved that, and I'm especially proud of that number. Gender balanced overall. Michael, there's some other questions. Are you responding to those? Okay, very good. So Joseph has a question. We can, as far as making it more transparent, the most we can do, I guess, is provide you with a list of the people that applied. But because it is the presidential candidates' right to determine who they want on the ballot, I'm not sure you can do anything. No, you can't lobby anyone to gain traction to get someone's name on the list. This is the best way to get a person's name on the list is for that person to have had a relationship or to have made themselves known to the Biden campaign so that they would know who to put on the list. And I think we said that early on. I remember Greg saying that in several meetings when people were trying to decide, whether or not to support a candidate. And you really just sort of had to choose and hold on and hope that your candidate made it through, and then do all that you could to work for that candidate so the candidate would know that you are a person that they feel can go to the convention and support them and vote for them and be a loyal partner with them the entire time. So this is not anything that can be controlled or lobbied or anything like that. This is just good old-fashioned hard work that everyone had to do in order to be recognized and acknowledged by the Biden campaign. And I can't emphasize that enough. This was the Biden campaign that made this determination. That's it. Any other questions? Michael, I think, and that's exactly right. Nicole did an outstanding job. They had a webinar. They explained how all of this, Nicole, if you want to weigh in on how we met our goals, I mean, if you want to wait until your affirmative action report, you certainly can. But Nicole and the Affirmative Action Committee did an excellent job of making sure that people that should apply to help us meet our goals, they did apply. And so that we could not come up short, because that would have been a penalty for us. So it was incumbent upon us to present them with people that they could choose from so that we would meet those diversity goals, so that we wouldn't be penalized as far as our delegation not meeting what needed to be satisfied in order to seat our delegates at the convention. Greg, do you want to add anything to that?
Ma'am, I think you've done a good job of explaining it. I think that, we can and will, make a list available of who all the members of the delegation are as soon as we're able to compile that. And I think people will be able to take a look at that and see, the real balance in the delegation once we've done that. I know, a couple things I've seen in the chat as I've read it. People are always disappointed. They say that there are too many elected officials. People, always wonder, why they couldn't have gotten in. And as you said, it's a matter of who the campaign wants to pick, because they think that, for two reasons, because they think people have been loyal to them and they can count on them, or two, people whose support they want to have help them win in November. And those are key determining factors for campaigns. Those are beyond the party's control. We have done our best here in Maryland to make it as open as possible. But we've said from the beginning, the best way to get to be a delegate is to pick a candidate early and work hard for them. And that's what some of these folks have done.
Exactly. And the other thing that I want to mention, someone said, could we get the list of delegates before the night before? We would have gotten it to you had we had them. We got them when the Biden campaign got them to us. Seriously, we were still in conversations with them late Thursday night and yesterday. So understand that they're doing this in 50 states, and and 57 states and territories actually. So we got it to you as soon as we got it. We were not sitting on the names. We were not holding any of the information, So that was it. We got it to you as soon as we got it to you. Sheila says, I didn't know delegates from other campaigns could apply. No, only you didn't have to be a Biden supporter. It was at large. At large. That was the whole point. Party leaders, elected officials, and at large. It was open to everyone. And the good thing is that the Biden campaign took a host of everyone across the board of people that by applying, they were signaling, yes, I may have voted for someone else, but I am on board to support Joe Biden. So, and I think that spoke volumes too, to them, that people, even though they supported other candidates, they came on board and they're ready to support the nominee. And so I think that carried some weight too. So I see that we have called the question. So, are we ready to move on? Is there further discussion? If not, a poll will appear on your screen to approve the slate.
Yeah, we already approved it.
We did, so we're done.
Yeah, we did the poll already. Yep.
All right, let's move on. Thank you. So now, that's right, because we did discussion afterwards. Sorry about that. So I want to take a point of personal privilege to say something about my friend. My friend Greg Pecoraro, who has been, we've been together for a long time. Greg was parliamentarian when I was chair of the party before, and did an outstanding job and continues to do an outstanding job. Not only that, he has been an outstanding member of the DNC, representing all of you so well at the DNC. Greg has decided to step down, sadly, but he is not going to be leaving us because, as you can see, we rely on him heavily here at the Maryland Democratic Party. Nobody knows this stuff better. He can recite it in his sleep. And I'm just grateful that he'll still be part of the Maryland Democratic Party family. So Greg, I'd like to publicly thank you, to personally thank you, and to let you know that I am so grateful. And I think everyone on this call is very grateful for your service to us as a DNC member and your continued service to us as the parliamentarian of the party. So at this point now, I'm going to turn this over to Greg to explain the DNC member election. Yeah, let's see if we can.
Madam Chair, I understand people are having trouble hearing you.
So
I'm trying to dial in.
Okay.
So just give me a minute.
All right. So in the meantime, I'll just continue to talk about how wonderful you are. Was that what that's all?
Hey, Yvette, sorry to interrupt this, but I think that there are some gender balance members from Anne Arundel that need to be sworn in.
So why don't we go back and why don't we do that?
Yeah.
And give Greg a chance to sign in. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Not entered any numbers. Please re-enter your meeting ID.
Yeah, so Michael,
I'll give you the names.
do you have those names?
Yes, I do. All right, I got Jim Estep,
Hold on, let me pull it up. All right. You said Jim?
Jim
Yeah.
Estep, E-S-T-E, that's my buddy. And hi, Jim.
Harry Freeman.
Okay, Jim's not on. I don't see Jim. Jim, if you're on, please put something in the chat. Who's the next name?
Harry Freeman.
Hello.
Harry Freeman. Okay. Harry Freeman, you can talk now. Who's the next person?
Janice Jones. Oh, yeah, Odin.
What's her last name?
Jones Odin. The double last name. Yeah.
Her first name is Denise.
Janice. I think I might be pronouncing it incorrectly. It's Jenese.
The last name Jones. I'm sorry, I don't see her on here.
Okay.
Okay.
And Sharon Bulges.
All right.
And I believe, just for purposes, Troy Selby is now on as well. Since he's on.
And Eva, if you're looking for Janice, she's under Deja Williams' name.
Oh.
Account. She's logged in under Deja Williams.
Okay. All right, there are two Deja Williams. I've unmuted both. So the real Deja Williams, just mute yourself.
This is Janice.
All right.
Very good. All right, do I have everybody?
Yes.
Excellent. So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and then state your name.
I, Janice Jones Odin.
Do swear or affirm.
Do swear or affirm.
That I will support.
That I will support.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And that I will be faithful.
And that I will be faithful.
And bear true allegiance.
And bear true allegiance.
To the state of Maryland.
To the state of Maryland.
And support the Constitution.
And support the Constitution.
And laws thereof.
And laws thereof.
And that I will.
And that I will.
To the best of my skill and judgment.
To the best of my skill and judgment.
Diligently and faithfully.
Diligently and faithfully.
Without partiality or prejudice.
Without partiality or prejudice.
Execute the office.
Execute the office.
Of member.
A member.
Of the Democratic State Central Committee of Maryland.
Of the Democratic State Central Committee of Maryland.
According to the Constitution.
According to the Constitution.
And bylaws of this state.
And bylaws of this state.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's see if Greg was able to get back on.
Is this better, Madam Chair?
Yes, it is.
All right, very good. I apologize for being garbled before. So first, let me just say thank you very much for your kind words and those of others over my tenure as a DNC member. It's been a great opportunity to serve everybody as your representative on the National Committee. I always remember what my former boss, Senator Paul Sarbanes, said on the occasion of his retirement, which was that it was never his intention to be carried out of office. And he thought it was better to go when people still thought you should, stick around rather than have people say he should have left when he had the chance. So I'm leaving while I have the chance. And I appreciate everybody's support over these many years. It's great to create an opportunity for someone else to serve. I know that there are lots of people on the Central Committee who will do a great job, and I look forward to working with them. And as I promised you, Madam Chair, I will continue to serve you as your parliamentarian, and I appreciate the opportunity to help you with these kinds of issues. This is a pretty simple election. You've all done it, or many of you have been able to do it before. We have to elect 2 male and 2 female members of the Democratic National Committee. And that's the principal requirement. A goal of ours has always been to also create some other demographic diversity within the group, and that has been our tradition as well. We will be electing first 2 female members of the DNC, and then electing the 2 male members of the DNC. As I understand it, we at this time have only 2 female candidates for the DNC. The others who had originally filed have dropped out, and then that will be a pretty quick election, I imagine, and then we'll move on to the election of the 2 male delegates. I'm happy to answer any questions, Madam Chair, but I think that again, this should move along pretty well.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions regarding what Greg just said? Are there any? Okay, so what we'll do now is move to you, Eva, to explain the voting process.
All right. So everyone, Michael is we're going to do a up or down vote for the 2 women committee members. So we'll do that. But then once we finish that, then we need to vote on the male candidate. There are 4 candidates. Once the nomination process has gone through, and that nomination process is each of the candidates have selected 2 Democratic Central Committee members who will not give a speech. They will just give a simple nomination line of like my name, give your name, your committee, and who you're nominating for DNC member. Once we've gone through those 4, and it's 8 individuals who will be speaking and giving that one line, Michael then will send out the ballot for the DNC member, and it will only have the 2 male names. It would only have the option to choose 2 choices for the male DNC members. And then we will have a 20-minute period where people will be able to vote, and also to troubleshoot if anyone's having any issues with anything. And then, and if we're able to announce the results after the 20 minutes, we will do that. If not, we will announce the results later in the meeting. So once again, I would say the folks who are going to get a ballot are those individuals who have signed into the form. If you have not signed in, Michael sent out that sign-in form at 8:30 a.m. this morning. Please click on that and sign in. Chairs, you have been given viewing access to the back of that sign-in form, so you know of your members who have signed in and who has not. So if you know members who are on the Zoom call but haven't signed in, please give them a nudge to sign in, because you will only receive a ballot if your email is in the sign-in responses. All right, so I'm going to hand it back to Chair Lewis, who will then go over the next steps in terms of for the female DNC members.
Thank you. And I just want to respond to Mark McLaurin. He wants to know what specialized outreach was being done to attract younger candidates. I'm going to give a supreme shout out to Joseph Kitchen, who did webinars and invited people to come to the webinars, young people to come to the webinars. What does it take to be a DNC member? And I know he did it because I know our DNC candidates actually went and spoke to the young people, the young Democrats. I know that Nicole Williams has been very involved in that process as well, as far as attracting young people to the DNC, and that's their role as members of the State Central Committee. And Joseph says we spoke to at least 3 high school groups and college Dems, so the outreach was definitely there. Thank you, Joseph Kitchen, for having our back and making us aware that we need to do this kind of outreach and making sure that we are reflective of the demographic that is becoming the largest and the fastest growing demographic in this country that will be the future of the Democratic Party. So I am so grateful to you and to Nicole for doing that. But yes, Mark, we definitely did do that. So moving on, here we are. So despite starting, as Greg said, with 4 female DNC member candidates at the beginning of this week, 2 have chosen to withdraw their names from consideration. We're now left with two DNC member candidates, Belle Young Hong and Cheryl Landis. Due to the fact that both candidates come from 2 different regions and are the only 2 remaining female candidates, at this time, I'd like to recognize Greg Pecoraro to make a motion to proceed with a vote by acclamation to elect both candidates.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that Cheryl Landis and Bell Long Hong be elected by acclamation as Democratic National Committee members for Maryland.
Thank you, Greg. Is there a second? And it looks like Matthew Lee, we need to unmute him.
I don't see Matthew Lee's name.
He popped up in the chat.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll unmute you, Matthew. Okay, I got you. All right, go ahead, Matthew.
I'll second it. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. The motion has been properly moved and seconded to elect Bell Leong Hong and Cheryl Landis as DNC National Committee Women by acclamation. A poll will appear on your screen. Please take a minute to complete the poll.
All right, I'm going to give 5 more seconds.
Excellent. So, according to the poll, the motion carries. Congratulations to Bell and Cheryl on your election as our DNC National Committee women for the term starting immediately after the 2020 DNC convention. I could not be prouder. We've got the dream team. Let me ask you, is it possible to move either of them over to attendees so that they, participants, so that they can say thank you to everyone? Bell, you can unmute.
Yes. I want to thank everybody for your faith in me, and I pledge to continue to serve you faithfully.
Thank you, Bell. Happy anniversary, by the way. Today is Bell's 50th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary. We love you.
Thank you. Love you too.
Cheryl?
I just want to say thank you so very much. And I just, I promise that my service will be based on honor, integrity, and respect for everyone. I will continue the good fight. So this is a blessing for me. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Cheryl. We appreciate you. So now, we will accept the nomination of our DNC member male candidates. So I will call on, I will recognize the nominators and the seconders for each one. So beginning with Richard Kaplowitz, it looks like the nominator is Deb Reynolds and the second is Antonia Bowens. Are you on?
Yes.
Thank you.
Deb Reynolds, Frederick County Democratic Central Committee, nominating Richard Kaplowitz. Thank you.
Thank you. Antonio?
Yes, Antonio Bowens, Frederick County, and I second the nomination of Richard Kaplowitz.
Thank you. Moving on, Deborah Carter and Russell Yates to nominate Robert Crestline. Deborah, you can unmute. Russell, you can unmute.
Hi, Deborah Carter from Frederick County. I am proud to nominate Bob Crestline.
Russell Yates, Charles County. Thrilled to support the nomination as for Bob Crestline.
Thank you. For Robbie Leonard, Michelle Gregory, and Thea Wilson.
Hello, Michelle Gregory from Wycomico County, and I am absolutely honored to nominate Robbie Leonard, friend of the Lower Shore.
Seconded by Thea Wilson, Anne Arundel County.
Thank you. And Glenn Middleton, Layla Campbell, and Rhonda Wallace.
Rhonda, before you speak, Layla, I don't see her on the chat. Layla, if you're on underneath a different name, please let me know let us know in the chat function. What's Layla's last name again?
Campbell.
And Glenn, if you know Layla is on.
Oh, she says I'm here. It's Blue Campbell.
Blue.
I saw something in the chat that said Blue Campbell.
He's under Timothy.
Oh no, you're underneath Timothy Bridges.
Okay. All right. Rhonda, Timothy Bridges, Layla, and Rhonda Wallace.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Wallace from Prince George's County Democratic Central Committee, and I proudly nominate Glenn Middleton from ASME Council 67.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Dr. Leela Campbell, Baltimore City. I second the nomination for Glenn Middleton.
Thank you very much. Your slate of candidates has been properly nominated and seconded. So now we will take 20 minutes to allow the DSCC members to vote. And Eva has explained all of that to you.
There you go. And Yvette, I'll just say it once again.
Yep,
Michael,
that's best.
did you already hit send on the email? Thumbs up. All right, everyone. So those people who have signed in or have the ballot is in your inbox at the email you put in that sign in. So please go to your email right now to check the get that ballot and fill it out. The one important thing is that you need to vote for two different men, right? So if you vote for candidate X, you can't vote for candidate X the second time. If not, your vote will be bumped, and we will call you within the appropriate time to try to fix that. But remember, it's two different men that you need to vote for. All right. And we will start the time now in terms of 20 minutes. And as always, if you are having issues for whatever reason, please reach out. I mean, we'll be here on the chat in the Q&A, but also your helper, please email them and they can help you out. But the main thing is go check your email and fill out the ballot. Two different men, submit it. And then in 20 minutes, we'll give you an update. Hey, Michael, I got a few people in the Q&A who said they haven't gotten their, when I answer, you'll just see their name and then you can,
Yeah, I'm looking at the ones that are thinking right now, and I'm cross-referencing it with the check-in list to see if maybe they misspelled something in their email.
and just, and this is not for everyone, but just folks who said they haven't gotten their ballot yet. One, it's the email address you used on the sign-in form. So that's one thing. And then two, maybe just, and this may only be for a few folks, refresh your email. Because if it's been sitting for a while, it may not have popped up. So if you refresh your email, that also may make the email may appear. Hello, everyone. You won't hear any talking from us because we're trying to help folks with ballots and things like that. As long as you still see the live on Facebook at the top of the left-hand corner, and you still see us, know that it is still active. We are just in this brief recess for the next 12 minutes or so as we work with folks on this balloting issue. So it probably will be silent for longer. But just know that as long as you still see us, you are good to go.
Hey, Eva. Timothy Bridges just called me because my name's on this numbers on the screen and said he did not have a ballot.
Okay. Is he in a Zoom? Can he put that in the chat or the Q&A?
Yeah, that's what I told him to do.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you. All right, I'm gonna see if this works. Someone requested John Richardson requested some smooth jazz or elevator music. So I put on my smooth jazz channel, which is gonna start off with Sade, Smooth Operator. Let's see if this works. Another girl playing with another heart, placing high stakes, making hearts ache. He's loved in 7 languages, diamond lights, ruby lights, high in the sky. Heaven help him when he falls. Shining light, lover boy, we move in space with minimal waves, maximum joy. City lights, business nights, when you require street car desire for higher beginners or sensitive heart. Sentiment is left to shine. Place to be ending, but somewhere to start. No need to ask, he's a smooth operator. Smooth operator. Smooth operator. Smooth operator. Coast to coast, LA from Chicago, west of Maine.
classic games. The shadow box and double cross. Get me the change. A license to love, insurance to hold. Now talk your memories and changes to his eyes are like angels, his heart is cold. No need to ask, he's a smooth operator. Chicago, Western Maine, across the north and south to Chicago, love was
Eva, I think we need to veto the rest of this song.
I liked it, Eva.
Oh, I could. What was it? Robbie's comment?
Apparently, they think this is go to sleep music.
Oh,
Yeah, they were trying to vote and they all fell asleep halfway through the vote.
No, I love the music.
I loved it too. I'm sorry.
that was Kenny G, Forever in Love.
Yes, it was.
Just saying.
You have some requests, Eva.
I know. I see Chuck Berry. Was that
Right.
one I saw? Let me see if Amazon my Prime has Chuck Berry.
Ain't no party like a Maryland Democratic Party,
No.
right?
Everyone needs to chill, and that Kenny G just does it.
I tell you.
You got the- oh, nope. All right. Which do we? All right, this is the one I like. Johnny Be Good.
Oh, God.
You down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans. Right back up in the woods, it might be evergreens. Stood a log cabin, made a bird road. Running the country boy named Johnny Be Good. Never learned to read or write so well. He could play the guitar like a ring in a bell. Go, Johnny, go. Go, Johnny, go. Go, Johnny, go. Johnny Be Good. The carrying guitar and a bloody sack. Posted beneath the tree by the railroad track. Oh, man, you never see him. Sitting in the shade, strumming with the rhythm like a diamond made. We go passing by, they would stop and say, oh, man, that little country boy. Go, 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 Johnny Be Good.
All right, I'm back in the bunker. So it's been 20 minutes. We know that there's still outstanding issues with folks who haven't received the ballot or not putting in the right ID and PIN. So we are going to extend another 15 minutes. I will let the music go. If you have any requests that I can do for you, please keep sending them. I see yours, John Richardson. I'll see if I can get Joe Sample. I've never heard of Joe Sample, but maybe I can find.
He's good. He's good.
I know. I just called myself out publicly on that one. All right, excellent. So we're going to do another 15 minutes starting from now. So know that if you haven't voted, you still have an opportunity to vote. And also chairs, please, like if you know you have members who you know are on the call and have not voted, please bump them to vote as well.
I know there was a question about continuing with the agenda while the voting was continued. In fairness to everyone, because some people are still trying to vote, I would really not want to move on with the meeting until the vote closes. Now, we may not announce the totals because we're not going to wait for the totals. We will move forward with the meeting as the tallies are being pulled together. But in fairness to everyone, I really don't want people to miss part of the meeting as we proceed. So let's just give it a few more minutes to be respectful of those that have not had a chance to vote.
Eva should do an impromptu impromptu act.
Eva's so busy. I don't know if she has time, but boy, is she good.
I know. That should have been the interlude. Oh, we didn't even think about that. Goodness gracious. I may have accidentally started something, Eva, sorry.
I should mention this because I know I'm getting a couple questions and Michael probably is too about like, can you confirm my vote? Check with your chair. And because that way it would open up the lines for people who haven't received their ballot or have member ID or PIN issues, but your chair sees the vote. And so they can confirm for you if your vote's been confirmed.
writings on the wall. There is superstition. Let us start to fall. 13-month-old baby, from the looking glass. 7 years in bed, the names in your past. You believe in things that you don't understand, and you suffer. Superstition everywhere. Ooh, there is superstition. Wash your face now. Let me go on the problem. Do all that you can. Keep me deep. Keep me going strong. You don't want no saving. Sad is the song. You believe in things you don't understand when you're suffer. Superstition everywhere. Nothing more to say. Very superstitious. The devil's on his way. 13-month-old baby. Looking best. 7 years of older. The things in your face. Things that you don't understand. You're supposed to show it way. No, no, no. Like the fool I went and stayed too long. I'm wondering if your love's still strong. Ooh, baby, I'm still delivered on yours. Then that time I went and said goodbye. Now I'm back and not ashamed to cry. Ooh, baby, I'm still delivered on yours. Here I am, baby. Oh, you got the feeling in your hands. Here I am, baby. You got the feeling in your hands. I've done a lot of foolish things that I really didn't mean. Yeah, yeah. Oh, baby, seen a lot of things in this old world. When I touch the baby, nothing, girl. Ooh, baby, here I am, I'm still delivered. I'm yours. I'm yours. Ooh, baby, you set my soul on fire. That's why I know you're my only desire. Ooh, baby, here I am, I'm still delivered. I'm yours. Yeah, baby. Whoa, you got the good in your head, baby. Yeah, baby. You got a sister in your head, baby. Yeah. I've done a lot of foolish things. I've done a really this thing. I can be a broken man. Yeah. With the future, got you today. Yeah,
Give you a chair credit for that selection. Thank you very much.
The only thing is I may cut it because I think that it is explicit. So. You all get
Keep it PG though, okay?
you all get a taste, and then I think I'll stop it.
You know, my generation has some good music too. That's
shining, everybody wanna shine. I was born like this, don't even gotta try. I done make it better over time. They just say I'm not the baddest bitch you like. Ain't my fault that I'm not here getting loose. Gotta blame it on the goose. Gotta blame it on my juice, baby. Ain't my fault that I'm not here making news. Time to put it in the proof. Gotta blame it on my juice. Yeah, 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 yeah. Blame it on my juice. Blame it on my juice. Yeah, 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 yeah. Blame it on my juice. Blame it on my juice. No, I'm not a snack it all. Look, baby, I'm the whole damn meal. Baby, you ain't being slick. Don't dare try to cop a feel. The juice ain't worth the squeeze if the juice don't look like this. Nigga, please don't make me have to take your bitch. If I'm shining, everybody wanna shine. I was born like this, don't even gotta try.
So where are we on time, Eva?
Yeah, let me check in.
And does it look like everyone has at least has a ballot at this point?
Yeah, Michael, maybe you. Oh, you know, he's talking to somebody. Let me.
Oh, I'm on mute. I'm not on mute.
So just so you all know, originally we had blocked out 4 hours for this meeting. We're going to come in well under that. So be relieved about that.
All right. I think we just we're almost there. I think folks are getting their ballot. For those last minute folks who did not get ballots and I guess sent to the wrong email or whatever the issue is. So once I get confirmation of that, which should be within the next minute, then we'll continue on with the meeting while our counters verify the vote, and then we'll announce the vote later on.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. Nothing else. The afterworld. A world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun. Day or night. So when you call up that shrink in Beverly Hills, you know the one that everything will be alright. Instead of asking how much your time is left, ask how much of your mind, baby. Cause in this life, things are much harder than the afterworld. This life, you're on your own. And if the elevator tries to break you down, go crazy. Watch your higher flow. What you living in? Take a look around. At least you got friends. I call my old lady. Oh, friendly word. Telephone, watching on the floor. That's all I heard. Oh no, let's go. Let's go crazy. Let's get nuts.
All right, this Prince song, Let's Go Crazy, has 2 more minutes to go. Once this song ends, we will move on with the ballot and it will end. I know there are a few people who still, I'm sending the ballot to. You have 2 minutes to get to get your vote in. All right, all right. Let me just do a final check-in with our counters. I know Michael, to Odette. Michael, you want to unmute yourself and tell her you emailed it to her?
Who am I?
Odette.
Oh, Odette. It was a forwarded message. So I sent it to the original message, but I'm resending it right now again with the ballot attached to it. But it was a forwarded message.
Is that it?
Yep. All right. Here's what we're going to do. I think. All right. There you go. Odette got it. We will let the ballot be open for another 5 minutes. We will go ahead and get started with the meeting. And the counters will know at 12:13 to shut off. It will no longer be available. So if you don't get it in the next 5 minutes, you will not be able to vote. All right. Let me just have that conversation with them, and then we'll get.
So you should also know that we did this at the top of the meeting because we knew this was going to be the most time consuming. Moving forward, it depends on how long-winded everyone chooses to be, whether or not we get out of here in a reasonable amount of time. With that in mind, we're asking you to keep the report short, and I will do the same. So I think Eva has given me the signal that I can go ahead and proceed. So our next agenda item is a proposed bylaws amendment that would give the state party additional powers over local central committees. This is a complicated subject that is sure to require considerable discussion, which would be very difficult to do under the present circumstances, and I think you all would agree. Although we were required to place it on the agenda for today, as chair, I would like to postpone that consideration until the next meeting of the full state central committee, when we will hopefully all be together. If there is no objection, I would like for that item to be postponed until the next meeting. However, if you do have an objection, put it in the chat. But if there is no objection, I would like to, and I see that Aaron has quickly said so moved. If I can get agreement on that, we can proceed, because this has been a lengthy process, and I don't want to keep us here any longer than is necessary. We got it. And I don't think, Greg, that's necessarily anything we need to vote on. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, as long as no one's objecting, and I think
Nobody,
everybody's pretty happy with this suggestion.
I was pretty sure everybody would be happy with that suggestion. So we will move that to the next meeting. So now we are going to move to the chair's report, and I will be brief. I just want to tell you that it has been an honor. I have enjoyed it. It's been a blast. It's been challenging, but we've had so many people willing to step in and make this work that it didn't feel like a challenge. It hardly feels like it's been 6 months. It seems like it was just yesterday that we were all together. But let me tell you some of the things that we've done. The most important thing is bringing people back into the party. Our trustees, we have had, since I started, 19 new trustees, 12 that have returned. We have a total of 56 trustees now that are supporting the party that I am thrilled about. And to make the trustee program worthy of the ask, because people are giving money, what we've done is every Thursday we have had a trustee call, a call with our trustees, and we've had a special guest. We've had Congressman Jamie Raskin and Lena Wendt, and she talked about, this was right at the beginning of the pandemic. We've had Bill Ferguson and Robert Gallo, another noted person in the field of diseases and disease control. Speaker Jones and Vinnie DeMarco, Fred Yang, Congressman Anthony Brown, John Sarbanes, and Amanda LaForge, who talked about our voter protection program. Joe Sandler, along with Nia, who talked about our voter protection program and all that we're doing. We had Chris Van Hollen and Sarah Raskin, Ben Cardin, and Sean Moore with the Small Business Committee on the Hill, Barbara Mikulski and Maggie McIntosh, Brian Frosch, Tom Perez, Howard Dean, Charlie Cook, Peter Francho, and just this week we had a candidate for the Senate in South Carolina, Jamie Harrison, who we are praying will take out Lindsey Graham. So there have been some really interesting calls. Our trustees are very happy with them, and the majority of them tune in every week because they are enjoying them so much, because we can't do our regular things that we do to thank trustees for the investment that they're making in the party. We wanted to try to do this, and it seems to be working very, very well. Of course, many of you know that we had our rally, Dems at Distance, a couple of weeks ago. Over 1,200 people signed in for the rally. It's still up on the website if you didn't get a chance to see it. We raised over $27,000 from that rally with sponsors and with people that just donated online that day because they were so excited with what they saw, and it was a great rally. And I have to tell you, when Marilyn called, people answered. We got everybody. We got Pelosi, we got Clyburn, we got the presidential candidates, including Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, everybody. And it was not a hard ask. We asked and they said yes, because they wanted to participate, because Maryland matters. Maryland has caught everybody's attention because of the work that we're doing. The work that we're doing here in this state, they know is making a difference. So we are having no trouble at all getting people to say that they want to come and help the Maryland Democratic Party. And I'm very excited about that. One of the things that I want all of you to consider is to become a member of our Blue Circle small donor program that Robbie is so generously and graciously helping us with. Eva and I are sustaining members, $5, $10, $15, $25, whatever you can give, but it's a monthly donation to the party. I do it here at this state party. I also give monthly to the DNC because I feel that membership needs to be supported. The members need to support the organization. And even though I am the chair, I feel it's my responsibility to do my part to contribute to the Maryland Democratic Party on a recurring basis. Give what you can. And believe me, once you sign up for a monthly donation, it just comes out. You don't even think about it because it just becomes part of what you expect to see. So I hope that you will consider becoming a member of our Blue Circle. We have a very special panel coming up on the 30th of June at 7 o'clock. A couple of weeks ago, when we had a national moment of silence, all of us on staff got together on a Zoom call, and we sat in silence for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And I have to tell you, that was the most emotional 8 minutes and 46 seconds that any of us have spent, to actually think about someone under that kind of human torture, because that's what it was, for the amount of time that we all sat there quietly. It was very emotional for all of us. At the end of the 8 minutes and 46 seconds, we stayed on that call for an hour, all of us, just talking about our feelings. But that morning in our Finance Council meeting, and it carried over into that meeting with the staff, we decided we wanted to do something. And that was how we came up with the idea of this panel, Black Lives Matter Next Steps. But it's going to be a panel. Our vision is a panel where we talk about things that we can do right now. It's not going to be a panel where we dump on Trump or what he's doing and what he's not doing. We know that. We want to know what positive steps we can take, how we can make a difference in bringing about a change and keeping this conversation in front of everybody so that they cannot look away, because Black lives do matter. And the thing that's important for all of us to remember is we can't let this energy just go away as we get into our attention deficit way of thinking and just sort of forget about this and move on to the next great thing. No, this is the only great thing that we need to be focusing on. And we're going to do that. So our panel will be on June the 30th. And I want this to be the first in a series. So I'd like to see us do another one in July. And that one will be an outgrowth of what we talk about in this panel. Maybe solutions and things that we come up with in this panel will bring in the next group of panelists who can help move that conversation forward. I'd like to skip the month of August because we may or may not be having a convention, and I'll talk about that in a second. But then I want to do it one in September and one in October. I want to take this all the way to Election Day, because we cannot talk about this in a vacuum anymore. This impacts all of us. This impacts all of us. All of us were George Floyd. That could have been anybody that day. And we have to be a part of this human discussion, not a racial, it's a human discussion where it impacts all of us. And I feel so passionately about this. And I hope you guys will join us, will join in and tune in, send us your thoughts, send us your questions. And if you have suggestions of people that you'd like to hear from on future panels, please let us know. Please let us know. Young, old, people in the movement, people that have been a part of the movement for a long time that can give us some historical perspective. It doesn't really matter. It's everybody's conversation right now. And I want us all to participate in that conversation. So that's the outgrowth of, that's how this panel came to be. And I want it to be the beginning of discussions here in Maryland, not the end. Now, I cannot end my report without saying something about some people that are so near and dear to my heart. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that this is the most amazing staff I have ever worked with in my entire life. You look at what they were able to put together with over 300 people on this call today. And we've been able to move this meeting along. This meeting should have taken 5 or 6 hours. The fact that we are moving as efficiently as we are, that's the thunder you hear. The fact that we're moving as efficiently as we are is because of this fantastic staff. Eva Lewis of Lewis and Lewis Squared, because we call ourselves the Lewis team here. I have never had a more wonderful partner. She is absolutely amazing. And the Eva that you see right now, pleasant and upbeat and just ready to find solutions, that's Eva every day. That is not Eva for this meeting. That is Eva every single day. And she keeps us all together and she keeps us focused. And I just adore having her. I cannot say enough about Michael, who is my barometer, who keeps me smiling and keeps me happy. But Michael is one of the hardest working political directors. He does such an outstanding job. Morgan, I adore. She keeps the numbers straight. She's helping Bob. She's right at his side and making sure that those numbers that you see, you saw only 1 month in the red. And that was when we were doing a transition, and we are going to fight like the devil. So you don't have any more months in the red. I promise you that. And if it doesn't happen, it wasn't because we didn't try our hardest to make sure. Jamie Conway, Jamie is helping us bring those dollars in, making sure that our trustees are taken care of, making sure that our trustee calls are taken care of. Jamie helps me with my call time, outstanding. Then we have our regional organizers, and I hope I'm getting everybody in here. We've got Vanessa, and we've got Justin of the East and Justin of the West. Fabulous. And these are the people that are reaching out to all of you and organizing in with you and your committees. And we will be adding more, but they are just the best. When we have our staff meetings and they talk about all of the phone banks and all of the people that they've connected, and doing this in COVID, when we're in quarantine, that is just phenomenal. We've got the amazing Shy, who just joined us. And let me tell you, I call her Super Shy, because she has joined us, and all of these wonderful graphics and all of the social media. If you notice, our social media has really kicked it up a notch. Everything that you see happening, we owe to her, because she's doing such an amazing job. And then there is Tyler, the data king. The reason all of this stuff is working today and we're not blowing up is because of the amazing Tyler. Fabulous. I could not be happier. He's only been with us a short time, but you would think he'd been with us forever. I guess this is like his second bite, but still, with me, this is his first time. I just think he's wonderful, doing such a fabulous job. And the amazing Meredith. Can't say a word without the amazing Meredith Bowman. You guys have known Meredith for years, and she is still part of our family. And the first thing we do is pick up the phone, call Meredith. What does Meredith say? We could not function without Meredith at the party. I think I got everybody, Eva. I think I did. And that's because it was easy to remember everybody, because these guys are just top notch. You do not know how fortunate you are to have these wonderful people at the Maryland Democratic Party. So with that, I am going to sign off, say thank you all so much for the privilege of serving. We are happy to be here and we are enjoying the work. And guess what? We are doing more being locked up. So we're good. Don't worry about the party. We're doing fine. We are going to win in November, and we're going to help other states win in November. Eva's going to be talking about that too. Maryland Democratic Party is in the house, and we are in the house to stay. So thank you all so much. Appreciate you. So next, we will move to the amazing Eva Lewis with her report.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much, Yvette, for all those kind words. And I will just echo everything that she said about the staff. They've been kicking butt, working overtime. As you know, we've had a lot of big events with the virtual rally. And then with this production, I think we all can put that on our resumes now that we've done a big production. But I just want to echo all of that and to say, like, the staff, I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart to make this job as easy as possible. So for folks who may not know, I was the political director back in 2017 to 2018 underneath Kathleen, and then a little bit with Maya, and then went over to DNC, and then was fortunate enough and privileged enough to be asked to be the ED for Chair Yvette Lewis. So I'm coming into my fifth month here at MDP, and I'm loving it. It is a lot, as you can imagine, but we're all taking it in stride, and it's, I'm thinking 10, 20 years when we look back on this, and just the cross section of a pandemic, the structural changes that are being asked and requested and demanded about Black Lives Matter at the moment, the economy where it is, and then also kicking out Donald Trump and electing Joe Biden as our next president, and also taking back the Senate so that we have all three branches. So it's, or at least two branches. And so I just want to say that this is a heck of a time to be alive, and I'm so glad to be doing it with all of you right now. So to get right into it, like Yvette talked about our field team, right? We have a fantastic field team led by Michael and our 3 regional organizing directors since January. And in fact, the numbers I'm about to give you are since January. But as you all know, we sheltered in place about 7 to 10 days before Governor Hogan gave his shelter in order place. And so since that time, that the field team has made 37,657 total direct voter contact attempts since January. So that it's phenomenal. And in fact, that was only 2 people at one point. And then we just added Vanessa just a couple of weeks ago. So just know we are going to be expanding those numbers, right? First big election was a special general election for to fill the remaining time for late Congressman Cummings' seat. So we helped out by texting into Baltimore City, letting folks know about the special general election that happened on April 28th. That was supposed to be, and it still was, a warm up for the big June 2nd vote by mail, which, as you all know, there were issues, a lot of issues. But know that your state party, talking to the state board and local boards, and letting it be known that these issues that we saw were unacceptable. I will let you know for April 28th, there were issues in that one. We sent a letter just straight to the State Board of Elections, to Administrator Linda Lamone, saying here's the issue and here's how we believe you can reach a solution on it. They took up some of our recommendations, such as the public relations part of it that they did, and some they didn't. But do know for the issues that happened with June 2nd, which should not happen and will not happen, particularly because we'll know that it's coming, know that we are still talking to them, and we'll be drafting a formal letter to write to them to let them know. So June 2nd, big primary election day. Right. In order to galvanize the masses, we did a game of phones, right, which is helmed by our chair, to get the Central Committee. So the Central Committees were competing in terms of like who had the highest number of direct voter contacts. And so all 24, just about all 24 jurisdictions participated. Frederick County was the number 1 in terms of the number of attempts, but in terms of, in terms of the number of contacts, that's how we did it, because as you know, some committees are bigger than others. But the number 1 was Frederick County in terms of the number of contacts that they made, and then Montgomery County had was the number 1 in terms of just the sheer number, raw numbers of contacts. So all those 2 days, those 2 special days of action, we had 4,003 attempts across those 2 days with our Central Committee members. So that was Fantastic. Next up, right, so we've gotten through our primary, right? We're about to get through this meeting, and now it's about the coordinated campaign. We have been in discussions with the Biden campaign for many months. I'm really happy and so glad that we have Chair Yvette Lewis, who already has a lot of these established relationships. So it's been easier to get folks on the phone and get responses to emails to know about what are the next steps, and know that there was already a Biden Maryland for Biden team happening and right here already, and we've talked to them, and so we've been in coordination to make sure that we are all on the same page and working together. And I also said that there's a very strong Women for Biden group and their chapters around the state. In fact, our Deputy Treasurer, Barbara Goldberg-Goldman, is one of the leaders for that, along with Chair Yvette Lewis. So we're working on the coordinate campaign. We know we're going to be an export state, but do know this: we are also making calls into Maryland. We know we have a competitive CD1 race, which we will not be ignoring the Eastern Shore. So we would definitely will be there, as well as in Washington County. We know there's a Hagerstown mayor's race and city council race that also we want to support and make sure we get across the finish line as a winner. So we're doing that. And then lastly, I will say that we're also talking to the battleground states. So our intention is to focus on Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Virginia. I have been in discussions, Chair Lewis has been in discussions, Michael has as well, with all of our counterparts in those states to talk about how we can be helpful. We've already received links from North Carolina, so we'll be starting up that next week. Pennsylvania, we received links directly into their phone banks, and we will continue to do that through June and July with our days of action. So we're doing days of actions on Wednesdays and Saturdays. That is the time, at least for June and July, for folks to get on, flex that muscle, get ready for once the convention is over and Joe Biden's our official nominee, and then we will all be off to the races until November 3rd. We will also be doing these focus days of action, particularly to the states, non-Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Virginia, who are borderground states, battleground border states. So we'll be also talking to Maine, South Carolina, Kentucky, and potentially even Florida as well. And know that last week we did a focus day of action into Maine, where collectively we made close to 9,500 or over 3,900 calls into Maine. And that was one day. We advertised it, and it was from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. that phone bankers could get on and make calls into Maine to defeat Susan Collins, because that is the next step in terms of taking back our Senate. As Yvette mentioned, we are being more and more active on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and we're going to try to increase our Instagram. Thank you to Shai, who's been helming that. And then also we are relaunching our MDP YouTube channel. It's been 9 years since we've even touched that page. So we're working to get control back over it and want to have some regular programming since we have the channel and putting things up. And then lastly, this really is the last thing, Climate Change Committee. So I want to thank Montgomery County Central Committee member Erwin Rose, who in an executive committee meeting a few months ago proposed establishing an Environment and Climate Crisis Committee. And so he sent in a proposal. Michael, Yvette, and myself, we all looked at it. We're really excited about this. We know the climate crisis is a big issue for all of us. And so it will be based upon, Erwin's thinking was that it was based upon the Environmental and Climate Crisis Council that the DNC established last year. So the purpose would be to further the Democratic Party's commitment to protect our environment and tackle the climate crisis. And the committee will perform activities necessary or convenient to carry out the above stated purpose and the below stated goals, which you all will receive in an email this coming next week. So I'm putting out the word right now, and I'll put it out through email, or Michael will put it out through email, that Erwin is looking for folks to join this committee. He would like to have at least one person from every jurisdiction. As you can imagine, that may be lofty, but I definitely know that we want geographic diversity as well as demographic diversity from our state. So in the meantime, until that email goes out next week, if you want to contact Erwin Rose from the Montgomery County Central Committee or contact myself, please do. And then lastly, I would just say thank you guys so much. We have a lot of work to do in these next 5 months, and we know we can do it with you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Are there any questions for either of us in the chat? I don't think so. Can we go on record to support vote by mail for the November election and urge the governor to make a decision ASAP? I think everybody is in agreement with that. Maybe except Larry Hogan. We have not had any information of next steps or where we're going to go. We will keep you posted on conversations that are happening with the Board of Elections and other entities as far as moving forward is concerned. We just don't know what's going to happen, but we will be very, very open and transparent and extremely communicative with all of you so that you know what we know. Thank you. So now moving forward, I will now ask Deirdre and Mitch to present the platform committee report. Thank you. Are they moved over?
Let me work on it now.
Okay.
All right. All right, Deirdre, you're moved over, and then.
Thanks, Eva.
And then Mitch, you are moved over. All right, you all can unmute yourself. All right.
Hey, thank you very much, Eva.
Thanks, Eva.
And the first thing I want to thank the people who are on this committee who have worked very, very diligently and hard to produce a platform for the state of Maryland and which could go forward to the DNC later on. The most important announcement, of course, is that last week on the 8th of June, the committee turned over to Eva and Michael a draft of the platform, and we're now awaiting state response so we can edit, revise as necessary, and make sure that we're consistent with the Biden and the DNC positions as we get them, so we can go forward with something that really does represent both the state and the national party. The way we got here is pretty straightforward. Last September, we went out with a survey to the legislators. We got the survey. Dr. Mickey Wade, who was our consultant, did a yeoman's work to produce to do the data analysis, and that was the basis for identifying the items that wound up in the platform itself. Deirdre, do you want to add to that, please?
Yeah, so Mickey did a great job. And then we did prepare, I'm on the side of a road, so it may be a little loud, but we did prepare a second survey, which did not go out. We ended up in a bit of a time crunch due to the untimely loss of Representative and Chairman Elijah Cummings, but we, rebounded. And once we were given the green light by Chairwoman Lewis, we got back to work. Really, I echo Mitch's thanks to everyone who was willing to reconstitute, come back together, and give us a commitment that they would continue to work on the platform through the crucial period of writing. And so what we really had to work with were the survey results from our elected officials, which worked in that we trust our elected officials have reached out to community groups. We've talked about and have their finger on the pulse of what their communities need and want in a platform that reflects all of Maryland. We have talked about ways to collect a little more community level information once the draft platform is approved by the party, to share it with DCCs and get some feedback at that level. While I have the opportunity, one thing I do want to say that I don't know if folks are really aware is that, Mitch Edelman really did a lot of hard work to make sure administratively that the process moved on. He was the primary cheerleader to make sure that our that in getting everyone back together, that we could be even somewhat timely with such a daunting task and restarting our engines. And then also Sheila Ruth, Susie Kaplan, Danielle Smith, who served with us as the steering committee. And I can't explain how many meetings we had, how many Zooms we had. Let me just suffice to say, we all know what we look like very early in the morning and very late at night. And yet we are all, we're all still speaking to each other. So I think that's a really, really good thing. And diverse perspectives went into this. Teresa and Sean and Scott and Erwin and everyone, Cleo and everyone that contributed. We have 20-minute people on that platform committee, and folks really contributed to issue specific sections as well as to the overall document. The last thing that I'll say, and then Mitch, it's all yours to wrap us up and get us out unless there are questions, is that we also had to respond to a moment, but try to give Chairman Lewis, Chairwoman Lewis, a document that can live and breathe for quite some time. So COVID-19 and the pandemic we were in absolutely shaped some of the conversations around health equity, and other issues in the platform. The moment we were in with the horrific deaths that have happened most recently, George Floyd, just one of them, have definitely had us go back and just make sure that our issues on law enforcement in that section of the platform were thoughtful and inclusive. But this entire document was written with the lenses of climate, equity, and Susie and Mitch, if I forget one, there was a third lens, but we have, yes, an infrastructure for Maryland. So we were always working through those lenses to make sure that we had a comprehensive document that made sense. And with that, I will hush.
Thank you. Mitch, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Yes, I want to thank Deirdre for her very kind words. The fact is, it was a team effort. And I said before, and I'll say again, how grateful I am for the support that the team gave us and the very, very hard work and long hours that they put in, all of the members. We were fortunate to have Rory Murray, who was, who wasn't mentioned yet, who was a former police officer, and he contributed significantly to our understanding of the operations of the police and the issues surrounding law enforcement. So my acknowledgement for him and his contribution. There are other people on the committee who we haven't singled out. Peter Caprini, who am I forgetting? Alex Garcia was for the time being on the committee. I can't remember them all. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting some people, and I apologize to them. The one thing going forward that we're looking for, to do is to make sure that the platform does in fact contain Maryland-specific issues that can be used by our state candidates going forward to represent what we believe is are the best interests of the state of Maryland. So we want to make sure that that the candidates can work from this. That's basically it. And again, I thank Eva and Yvette and our previous leaders for the opportunity to do this.
Yes.
Thank you very much. You guys did a lot of work, did a lot of hard work, and I understand and appreciate the constraints that you were working under, but even at that, you did a lot of hard work. The next step is review and then return to you guys for final editing and adjustments as we discussed. And then we will be able to share it with everyone. And we know we can get that done in a timely manner. The standing committees for the convention have not been announced yet. So we don't know, who the people are that will be on our for platform for Maryland. We'll be announcing that next week. But once all of that is clear, then we can connect you with those platform people and continue the good work that you guys have already started. I see there's a question in the chat about the DNC members. We're still tallying the votes, so we're going to continue to move forward, and we'll give you that information as soon as we can. Moving forward, and I see, Linda, you had a concern about not being able to speak. You can raise your hand at any time, If you have a comment, if there's anything you want to say at any time, you can raise your hand and you will be recognized. If I'm not seeing your question, Michael, Eva, everybody's got eyes on the question box, so I may miss it because I'm in the process of conducting the meeting. But if there's some input that you'd like to add, please feel free, and we can certainly address any concerns that you have. So if you want to put that in the chat, you can. Eva?
Yeah, Yvette, she raised her hand. I can go
Okay.
ahead and allow her to talk now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, Linda. Oh. Okay, now Linda. Yep.
I don't see her. Oh, there she is.
My question, can you hear me now?
Sure.
My question was how the individuals who are going to be part of the standing committees will be selected. Will that be determined by you all or by the candidates, or how's that going to work? Because I know I signed up for
Joe Biden, the Biden campaign. Once we got out of the district level business, it's all Biden campaign.
And when will the delegates, now that we've officially had our vote, when will all of us be pulled together as the delegation? Like we had a delegation.
You're going to get a note about that on Monday. We had to wait until the vote was certified today, but that will be on Monday or Tuesday, probably Monday of next week. No, Tuesday, because sorry guys, I have given the staff Monday off. You'll have to forgive me. I took license with that because they have worked extremely hard. So probably Tuesday, Linda.
Okay.
That was it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now let's move on. Thank you, Deirdre and Mitch again for everything. Let's move quickly to our voter protection team, our co-chairs, Amanda and Nia.
All right. And Nia's here. Amanda was not available, but Nia is one of the co-chairs. Will give the report. Thank you, Nia.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and also to Eva and the team. Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to provide an update, and I did see some questions regarding the scope of the Voter Protection Committee and our work. So we have been working really since, I would say, pre-pandemic, right, on a lot of these issues. And we worked really hand in hand with SBE to share our concerns on a lot of this. This year was the first time, as you all know, that Maryland went we had an election, 2 elections, as a matter of fact, that were primarily vote by mail. This was the first time that we did that. So there were a lot of challenges and a lot of issues that we are currently, we were aware of, and we were working through. There's a lot of misinformation that many folks got from the state board when it came to ballot delivery issues and scheduling of those the ballot delivery, as well as issues with the vendor. And so we have been in constant communication with the state board on these issues as we move into November. One of the main things that we had was a voter hotline where we got a lot of calls, not so much for the special general election, but a lot more calls for the June 2nd presidential primary election that focused on ballot access, right? So there were a lot of calls regarding issues with folks getting their ballot in a timely manner. There were some issues in terms of the digital divide, if they got a ballot delivered to them via email, then having to print out that ballot. There was also a lack of consistency as it related to what local boards had allowed for ballot pickup in terms of curbside pickup, as well as very long lines on election day. And I will say, on a positive note, although there were many challenges, voter turnout was extremely high. Voters are engaged. They are, mobilized and energized to participate in ways that we have not seen. And I do believe this year will be a watershed moment in terms of the election coming up in November. So one of the main things that we have been doing is compiling a comprehensive list of things that we believe, one, the state board must address for November, but also what the legislature also should consider moving forward. So we're gonna give those recommendations to the party, and then we will move forward. We are preparing robustly for November. We've been in contact with the DNC to look at what the export program will look like, and then also in contact with the state board to also put some pressure on Governor Hogan, because we do need a decision soon regarding November. If not, the state board will have to proceed with preparing for both a mail-in election and in person. And we're pushing for more, definitely for early voting and also for more in-person voting locations and, other vendors. The state board has informed us that they have put out RFPs for requests for proposals for additional vendors. And there have been some concerns as to why, the state has selected out-of-state vendors and, the scope of that. So we're closely monitoring all of that, and definitely will continue to keep you all updated.
So I see that there's some questions in the chat. So Michael, if you want to read those to Nia, and she can respond to those.
Absolutely. So I got a question from Alex Garcia. Did I hear correctly, Nia, that the MDP is now supportive of sharing legislative recommendations to remedy the structural issues with the election systems? If so, that is a positive development.
Yes. So the recommendations that we are handing over will be comprehensive. And of course, we're looking at, in the interim, what needs to happen and should happen prior to November to ensure election administration goes smoothly. But in the long term, I think there are things that have to be considered. Like I said, this was the very first vote by mail, but given the numbers, vote by mail, maybe we need to conduct a work group or task force to explore this more, because although, like I said, there were challenges, this may be something that the legislature may want to explore, at a greater level. So, I mean, there are things that we are looking at, but yes, our list is comprehensive to look at what, legislatively should be and, could be and should be considered, as well as, those things for the state board.
All right.
Michael, before you start, I just also want to respond a little bit. So the thing is, like, what, and I'm just going to reiterate what Nia is saying in terms of a lot of the issues that happen. A lot of it was management issues, right? So the laws were there, but there were a lot of it's not mismanagement. It's just like not managing enough. And so those are things that we are definitely, and everybody, right? And in particular, we have elected officials right here on our party officials. Senator McCray has definitely been out there, and definitely Delegate Williams as well, who have been out there. And so that is what the legislators will have to get involved, right? In order to enforce things that should have been common sense before, but were not during this process. Go ahead, Michael.
Oh yeah, okay. Just a quick question about what if the U.S. Postal Service really is shut down before the November elections? What happens then?
So this is also something that we're closely monitoring. Congress, and also Congressman Steny Hoyer, has really been pushing and been a true advocate and champion in the House around ensuring protection around vote by mail if many states do go vote by mail in November, as well as funding for the USPS, right? And we have heard a lot of from the state board primarily that USPS was a great partner this time around, even though there were a lot of challenges. But we are, we're closely monitoring that and definitely looking at, again, creating a comprehensive list of what are things that, we can work on to ensure that our votes are safe come November.
All right. There's another question. Hand in hand, Susie Kaplan, I'm assuming that's in reference to our communication with the Board of Elections. I think so, Nia, you mentioned, I guess, working hand in hand.
Yes, I mean, we've been in constant communication with them around a lot of these issues and been pretty attentive to and sensitive to a lot of the issues. So as soon as we hear of issues, we are contacting them and asking, what's going on, what's happening, in order to get a response as promptly and quickly as possible.
Great. So, I guess this is more of a question for the State Board of Elections, but why doesn't the Maryland State Board of Elections take advantage of the experience of Oregon and other states? So That
Well,
seems to be more of a question for them.
Yeah, it's definitely a question for them. And I think it's not to say that we have not encouraged that. I think they did the best that they can on some levels, right? Given that we are in the midst of a pandemic. And so I think these are, although, like I said, it's novel for Maryland to enter into this territory. Yes, it has been done in other states, but I don't know necessarily that it's been done in a pandemic of this magnitude, right? And so we do have to account for some of the challenges that are very novel before us. But yes, that is a recommendation that we can make.
And yeah, okay. I think I covered all the questions.
Do we have Joseph Kitchen's hand raised?
All right, go.
Hi, Nia, I wanted to thank you and your team for doing this, because I think also in addition to just the logistics part of like fielding these and coming up with solutions going forward, I know from a lot of people who say that they reached out to your team like the day of or during the voting period, and they got a lot of actual help to get their ballot counted. I did just want to say, I did speak about this at the executive committee meeting that we had earlier, and I do just want to reiterate that a lot of what happened in this election, some of it could be pertain to the pandemic, but I don't think we should underplay the fact that the Board of Elections, particularly the administrator, did lie about as we went through this process. Like they lied about the vendor. They didn't. They blamed the mailings on the vendor, but then did not own up to the fact that they didn't actually send the addresses to the vendor to mail the ballots. There were various legislative committees who asked the board, do they need more resources? Did they need more help to conduct this election? The administrator said no. And then now that the election is over, she is now saying that they needed more resources for the election. This is also not the first election that the Board of Elections has failed. Like, this is not the first time. It's not new in Baltimore City. It's not new down here in Prince George's County. I remember my first election in Maryland in 2006 was a clusterfuck. And so, like, this is not a new thing. And I do want to urge the party to be more direct and clear on this. Like, we need to be more clear on our demands for better elections. Especially in a state that we dominate the government. Now, we don't dominate the Board of Elections because of a weird way how we govern our Board of Elections, but we need to be clear that that this election is that what happened here is not okay. That there needs to be accountability. Like, voters need to see that we demand accountability, and it's not enough to say we'll do better next time. Like, I am sick about how many people were just not able to vote, or how difficult it was for people to vote. And I just want to say that I do think that our party could be more strong in its words and more deliberate in demanding accountability for how we move forward.
Thank you, Joseph. Can't say that I disagree with you. You all know, those of you that know me and know the work that I've done, voting is a passion of mine, and the right to vote is a passion of mine. There have been a lot of things that have been very eye-opening in these last couple of weeks that have caused all of us to adjust our thinking in terms of actions moving forward. I see that someone put in the chat about Senator McCray. He has been out there making sure that the voice of the Democratic Party is heard in this issue. And we will continue to do that. Eva mentioned that we are working on a report that we will send to the Board of Elections that will address the concerns that we're hearing here today, but also that we've heard since Election Day and before. And if nothing happens, it won't be because the Maryland Democratic Party was not on record of saying something should happen. So just know that we hear you, and I heard you at the last election at executive committee meeting. I agreed with you then, I agree with you now, and we're going to do all that we can with our voter protection team and with the staff, and making sure that we do all that we can. What that looks like, we're working on it, but it will be hopefully a response that will satisfy everyone in terms of what has to happen moving forward. So I appreciate your honesty, and I appreciate, everything that you're saying. So thank you. Susie and Linda, why don't we do Susie first and then Linda?
Is Susie? Okay, go ahead, Susie.
Oh, thank you. Madam Chairman, I think you just addressed my question, which was essentially, will we call the State Board of Elections on the carpet?
Yep.
Rather than just be buddies with them.
No, not this was serious, Susie. This was serious. It really was.
Yes, I
And
agree.
we can't do this in November because we'll end up with Maryland going for Donald Trump. So no, this is serious.
Right. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I see the delegate Keith Haynes has put something in the chat that you all need to look at. Delegate Haynes chairs the subcommittee that provides fiscal resources for the State Board of Election on Appropriations. If you have any questions or issues, please also send him an email. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, thanks. This is Linda Foley. I just wanted to make a comment about, I mean, I agree with everything that's been said. We do have to take this seriously. And Yvette, I'm glad that you are, and I'm glad that you're going to be pushing it. And I know that your record on this is really good. So I'm confident that you know how important this is. We all do. But I did want to say also that in terms of when we do our volunteer work for the election, whether we in Maryland go to a vote by mail, or whether in Pennsylvania they go to a totally vote by mail, or wherever they go to totally vote by mail, if we do it nationally, I think it's going to be a fact that more people are going to be voting by mail, because people are going to be hesitant in a lot of cases to go to vote in person. So I just want to make sure that when we do our volunteer work, that we take that into consideration, and that we really stress the voter education part of this as part of the vote by mail, especially when we're making calls to other states. We need to know what those rules are, so that as part of our pitch, we can tell voters how they vote by mail, because we saw that here, right? How difficult it was to get people to understand what the process was, because it's different. It's not what they're used to. So I just wanted to make that pitch and put it out there and make sure that we do have a voter education component to the pitch that we make when we're making our calls and, you know, other outreach to voters. Thanks.
I agree. And that's part of the script. Eva, if you want to speak to that.
In terms of the letter we're sending to?
No, the education that we will be providing to voters when we do our phone banks about how to vote by mail, if that comes to be, that needs to be part of what our volunteers are saying as we're phone banking or canvassing, so that people are very much aware of what they'll be facing in November.
Oh, most definitely. Right. So as we get closer and closer to the general, more and more people are paying attention and will want to volunteer. So our numbers in terms of volunteers will increase. And so that is always a part of our training for our volunteer phone banks, and also for the hotline. I do want to say, special shout out to Nia and Amanda, who are the co-chairs of the Voter Protection Committee, who staffed our whole hotline. The MDP staffed it on election day, June 2nd, but they were also out looking in person at these locations. So I just want to say, yeah, that's definitely going to be part of the voter education as well as the volunteer education and training.
Thank you. So I think that we've got
Chair. There are a few more people. There's Aaron Kaufman. Yeah.
Aaron.
Yes, I had to unmute a minute, Yvette. Thank you for calling on me, Eva. We put Malcolm Funn and Senator Hogan, PJ Hogan, on the Board of Elections, as I understand it. So in addition to talking to Ms. Limon, have we said to our friends, the people that we chose for the Board of Elections, hey, PJ, hey, Malcolm, and what can you do? Have we been in dialogue with them, even though they're minority members, because the party of the governor controls the Board of Elections?
Yes, so you're bringing up a very good point. Yes, we do have 2 Democrats. We don't control in terms of Democrats on the board, but we definitely can reach out to them and let it be known our concerns. And matter of fact, when we do that letter, we'll send it out to those 2, to the whole board, so they know our concerns.
Yeah, I think it's important to engage them from moment one, because we're all having a good cathartic chat, but PJ and Malcolm are in a position to make a difference.
Excellent. You're right about that. And then Yvette, we just have 3 more people, and then after these 3 folks, that we'll close the discussion.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm gonna have Linda Dorsey Walker.
Hi, I have a pretty close relationship with the Baltimore County Board of Elections, especially some of the top few people that are in charge. And one of the things they said to me yesterday when I went to pick up some additional voter applications was they admit there were unbelievable problems this time, but they've also said, is there any possible way, and the person asked me to ask you all this, is there any possible way that we can develop some sort of video or recorded information piece that's sent out statewide? Because even though you all are talking about, let's give information, voter education information to volunteers to share with people when they call in or when you communicate with them, that's on a one-by-one basis. They're saying there are months now before the November election, and they can help list, and we can add to the myriad of different questions and issues that would need to be addressed, and they could all be addressed in one video that could be played either on television, YouTube, radio, somewhere.
Yes, that's something definitely that we can note. And I think we are looking at resources. There were funds that were allocated this time around, and there was a brief video that was done, I will say, by the state board around voting by mail. But in terms of making it more robust and widespread, I think that is, and messaging will definitely be key.
And Linda, we see in the chat that there were I think in Montgomery County, I think Linda just put up that the Board of Elections did that. So some jurisdictions did it. I think what Nia is saying, which is a good idea, that maybe it needs to be, we need to look at a statewide model similar to what other jurisdictions have done. So who's next, Eva?
Yes, it's Robin. I know you also put it in the chat, but Robin's the last one we'll take.
Okay.
So go ahead, Robin. There you go.
Hello?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey guys. Hi, this is actually Monica Cooper, and I had put in the chat because I didn't think you guys would get to me, because I know everybody's ready to just get off the line. But I have, as a citizen myself, a formerly incarcerated woman, the population that I deal with are people who are formerly incarcerated. And I had gotten a lot of complaints. When you go online or try to request a ballot, it's still written on the Board of Elections website. Do you have a felony? Are you a convicted felon? And it asks these certain questions, and it worded in a way where it's not actually saying you can't vote, but it makes people believe that they cannot vote. So a lot of folks that had come to me and called me actually didn't even vote because the Board of Elections refused to actually just take the language down. And we have been over it with Common Cause, and we've been, my organization, Maryland Justice Project, had been working on these voting issues. We were just about to have a legislation passed before they shut it down to actually have parole and probation, signs that say you can vote, to actually have places where ex-offenders frequent, like the one-stop shop places where you trying to find employment, so that education can get out there. In 2016, in March, the expectation was that we would have at least 40 to 50,000 newly registered voters that were all people who were previously locked out of the voting process. Since that law had passed, it hasn't been as much behind getting that ex-offender vote together as I would like to see, because there are places in like Harford County and different places in Western Maryland that I know we could get a stronger hold on if we just divide to make sure that the Board of Elections, one, did their due diligence. And if we just work a little bit more diligently in those spaces where we know a lot of those people are coming from Hagerstown Correctional Facility, Eastern Shore Correctional Facility, and all those different places. So I really just wanted to, and I do got to get on the voter protection calls more often. I've just been a little overwhelmed, but I'm gonna make sure that I'm on the next one.
Yeah, and it looks like Susie Kaplan has already responded. I think she said that's something that voter protection will add to their list. So thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. So I think that's the last question.
Yeah, there was one in the Q&A, and I'm just going to answer this one live. And there may have been another question about this with the United States Postal Service, right? We do know there's a concerted effort to defund them from the Republicans. The DNC, along with our other Democratic leaders, is that we are pushing that they are funded fully so that they can handle this. As they continue to do that, I know our elected leaders will continue to press and do what we can to protect the U.S. Postal Service and make sure that people can get their ballots.
And someone needs to mute their phone because we're getting some background noise. Okay, great. Thank you, Eva. So let's move on because we only have 2 more items, and we're gonna do this, guys. We're gonna do it, I promise. Let's go to our Deputy Secretary, Abina McAllister, now to present the results of the DNC member election.
All right, and
Hey.
excellent. And Abina, I'm gonna share it on the screen.
Yeah, so everybody can see.
Yep. Right.
Okay, so the winner of the first seats, DNC seat for males, is Bob Cressline with 316.4% of the vote. So congratulations, Bob. And as you can see, the winner of the second seat is Robbie Leonard, Baltimore County, with 314.50% of the vote. Congratulations, Robbie.
No.
So congratulations. We have got a dynamic team that we are taking to the DNC, one that will continue the tradition that you guys have become accustomed to. You know that when Belle and I were there, and Greg and Glenn, we worked very hard to make sure that you had the representation that you needed. And I feel confident that this team will do that and even more so that Maryland maintains its stature at the DNC that we've all worked so hard to maintain. So congratulations to all of you. And thank you everyone for voting. So moving very quickly, we will now go to Nicole Williams with the affirmative action report.
Hi, everyone. I don't really have a whole lot. I think a lot was already provided in terms of where we are as it relates to our delegate selection. So we're kind of at the tail end of all of our work as a committee. And so I want to first just thank everyone who was elected on the district level to serve as a delegate to convention, and then those who were selected to serve in as an at-large delegate or a PLEO delegate, and as well as our alternates. But we did, as a committee, our role was really to do outreach, to try to educate as many people as possible about that process. With regards to the at-large process after the primary, we actually did hold a webinar back on May 19th that was posted via social media to inform everyone. And we had a number of people who watched the webinar live about what the at-large process entails. And so, hopefully some of the people who got selected, got selected as a result of watching that webinar and knowing the process and things like that. I want to thank the members of the committee, and hopefully I don't forget anyone. I tried to write everyone down, but Michelle Garcia, Joseph Kitchen, Hong Dang, Elisa Alamentaron, Bell Hong, Mary Lee, Renita Alexander, James Torrance, Tiffany Daniel, Matt Enzio, Walter Carroll, Gabe Carzanas, Shruti Bandagar, hopefully I pronounced that right, Sharon Brackett, and especially a big shout out to Sharon. She was like super helpful in terms of all the PowerPoints that we used for both the webinars that we did for the district level process as well as the at-large process. So thank you, Sharon, for all of your hard work on that. Noah Crockett, Leslie Israel, Stephen, Regina Holiday, Michelle Gregory, and Dorman Green, and Roxy Dennis were the members of the committee who did a phenomenal job in just making sure that we were reaching out all across the state, trying to educate as many people as possible about the process. And so we are at the end of the process. We have our 119 delegates and our 8 alternates to the convention. And so, I wish you all the best of luck and have fun, whatever this convention will look like. And I also just want to thank the members of the committee. We may have one last meeting just to kind of wrap stuff up afterwards, but that'll be about it in terms of our work. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I see Odette asked the question. Yes, Odette, we did meet our diversity goals. We did, thanks to the fantastic work of Nicole and the team. So thank you very much. So let's see. Do we have a DNC members report? I know Belle just wanted to say something very quickly about what, even though the DNC has sort of been not on a hiatus, but we've been in quarantine as a committee, but everyone has been doing things in their state. But Belle, if you wanted to speak very, very briefly, because we are pushing close to the Zoom just dying on us. Actually, it won't. I just said that so everybody would hurry up. Is Belle still on? Did we see her, Eva?
I have nothing to add, Madam Chair.
Okay, Belle, do you want to unmute very quickly? You're unmuted. We can't hear her.
Belle, you're unmuted.
I'm not hearing anything.
No, she's over and unmuted. I don't know if she.
Yeah. All right. So let's just go on. And if she comes back in, then we'll take it very quickly. So in your packets, you'll find constituency reports submitted by our DLC chairs and our Young Democrats United Women representatives. We ask that you submit your reports to Michael, and they will be distributed to the full state committee. So now I'm at the best part of the meeting. Is there any new business? Okay, I don't see any new business. Very good. Bina, adorable new little Central Committee member sitting on your lap. Thank you for giving us that joy today. And what I'd like to say to all of you is thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations to our newly elected DNC members, the elected delegates to the convention, all of the gender balance members that were sworn in. And are you ready for the magic words? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Hold on, Yvette, Belle.
We got Belle.
I'm going to try again with Belle.
Jessica. All right, come on, Belle. Did we get her?
No.
And I see one other quick question too while we're waiting.
All right, now talk. You're unmuted now from our end.
She must be having some technical.
No, I think you're having problems with your
yeah,
your technology because you're unmuted on our end.
So Danielle, did you have a question quickly before we step out? And if Eva can't bring you over, do you want to write it in chat? I wanted to know what the status of the Diversity Leadership Council, especially with regards to the Disability Council, is John, not John, I'm thinking of John Paré. The constituency reports, Susie, were in your packet that was mailed out to you. Yes, Michael?
Gotcha.
And that's, that's why I asked for the others to be sent to Michael, and he will send those out. So any that you don't have, they did not come to us, and we will send them to you once we get them. So what you got was all that we had. Okay.
Yep. And then just talking to Belle, she just wanted to say two things. One was to say thank you to everyone. And then two, I know Michael a couple weeks ago sent out a statement from the AAPI, the DNC API, the DNC Black Caucus, and then I think it was there may have been another DNC caucus sent out a joint statement in terms of like Black Lives Matter and the importance of getting involved and us taking steps and changes for that. So you should have received that a couple weeks ago from Michael. All right.
Okay, so before we adjourn, Abina, did you have something you wanted to
I
say?
just want to quickly also say thank you to Greg and Glenn Middleton for their years
about to say that.
as our DNC members. Thank you so much.
And Glenn, you have been an amazing representative for Maryland. I don't think you're done yet. I think that you've got many more miles to run for us here in Maryland, and we are so grateful to you for your service. And yes, Abina's baby is adorable. Everybody's putting that in the chat. Does anyone else have anything that we need to say before we close the meeting? That I am prepared to call a success. We do have some people with their hands raised, Eva. You want to tell me who they are?
Yeah, it's quite a few. It's Timothy Bridges, Gabrielle Moreno, Elizabeth Brown, Ed Holland, Howard Diamond, Shahan Rizzi, Mitch Edelman, and Beth Swope.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah.
All right, as you heard your name, go quickly.
All right. Yeah. So Beth will be the last one.
All right, who was first?
All right, Timothy Bridges. You can unmute yourself.
I just want to say, thank you all for a great meeting. 44A in Baltimore City supports this process, and just thank you all so much for the great work you've done. Great meeting. Thank you.
Our pleasure.
All right. Next up is Gabriel Moreno. Oh, let me do that correctly. There you go.
All right, and I just wanted to say thank you. I won't hold anybody up, but thank you, everybody, and let's win in November. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Next up, Elizabeth Brown. Go ahead, Elizabeth. You just unmute yourself.
I'm not Elizabeth. I'm Emily Cook. I don't know why I got into the queue.
Oh, you probably accidentally pressed it, but that's all right. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
All right. Ed Holland.
Hey, same thing. I left the house driving for an appointment, so I must have hit the button by mistake. But congratulations to everyone. Thanks.
Gotcha, thank you. All right. And then Harold Diamond. Hold on, Harold. There you go. Okay, go ahead, Harold. Harold, you can unmute yourself.
There you go. Thank you very much for running a concise and well-run meeting, Yvette.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Well, thank you. Next up, Shahan Rizzi.
Hello, thank you for a great meeting, very efficient. I know this is a very large undertaking for the group. I mean, very done professionally. Thank you so much for that, making this efficient. Not gonna hold up anybody. I think I heard you folks say that you're sending an email Tuesday about status of the convention. I was just curious, was there anything else you knew in terms of
No,
virtual?
if we knew, we'd be shouting it from the rooftops. Trust me. Because this is very, very difficult for us to plan and to do anything. We are at the mercy of the DNC, but I promise you, as soon as we know, we'll let you know.
Fantastic. Thank you again.
Love the picture, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Anything else? Eva, is that everybody? I think Eva's frozen. Oh dear.
Yes.
Yeah, he was frozen. I hope we got everyone. So shall we try it again? Yeah, Michael, you're the host. Okay. Did we get everyone, Michael?
I got you.
Okay.
Yep. So I think so. I'm just double checking right now. Anybody that doesn't actually need to have their hand raised, can you unraise it? just to make sure we know to bring anyone over or not to bring anyone over. I do believe that there was a question just quickly, I think by Linda Dorsey Walker about holding a meeting prior, another MVP state meeting before the election.
Linda, that's something we'll have to take under advisement. I'll have to see, because we are going to be so busy trying to do the coordinated campaign, and we'll see. I'm not going to say yes definitely on that today, especially after this long meeting right now. Now's a bad time to ask me. But seriously, all jokes aside, that is something we will take under advisement. We just have to see what our schedule looks like moving forward with all that we're going to have to do to get ready to defeat Donald Trump. But we'll certainly take it under advisement. If there's a way to do it, we'll see if it's first of all possible and something that everyone agrees to. So because we'll have another executive committee meeting before the election. And anything, that we can that might be discussed in a full committee meeting, we can discuss with the executive committee meeting, and the executives and committee, and they can bring it back to their committees to share with you. So that might be an alternative to doing a full state central committee meeting. Okay. All right. So shall we try this again? Going, gone. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, or we don't need a motion. We can just
bye. Thank you all. This has been great. Thank you. There you
go.
Thanks for joining in. Thanks for the privilege of serving. See you on the trail. Bye.
Excellent. All right. Bye, everyone. And thanks for those people who are watching on Facebook.
Bye.